In the not-so-distant future, a group of gamers receives mysterious messages inviting them to participate in a brand new game called The Cup, with the promise of winning $100,000. They head to the 25th floor of a luxurious building in the middle of the city. Once everyone has arrived, a computerized voice instructs them to register their names on a tablet. Next, they're told to remove all their clothes and personal belongings, lock everything in individual lockers, and put on special motion capture suits similar to the ones used in Hollywood movies so the system can track every movement they make. While changing, the players make fun of a guy named Adam because he's overweight and the suit is painfully tight on him. Another player, Carl, reveals a massive burn scar covering part of his body, while a third player, Andrea, explains that he used to serve in the military. Once everyone is ready, they enter another room containing a full-body scanner. The computer instructs each player to step onto the platform, choose a username, and collect their equipment. Their gear consists of an advanced tactical suit and a virtual reality helmet connected to a sensory system mounted on their backs, allowing them to physically feel everything that happens inside the game. Adam is amazed because he thought only major movie studios and giant tech companies had access to technology this advanced. Everyone quickly puts on the equipment except for a player named Zahid. As a joke, he chooses the username Terrorist Khazar, never realizing that the name will be permanently displayed on his suit. Feeling uncomfortable, he decides he wants to leave, but the exit door is locked and no one responds to him. The other players convince him that it's all part of the experience, so he reluctantly agrees to continue. The computerized voice announces that the training session is about to begin. Everyone closes their helmets, and the game instantly starts. The room transforms into a terrifying post-apocalyptic world. Their suits become military uniforms, and even their tattoos disappear. Although everything feels completely real, they can still pass their hands through certain objects, reminding them they're inside a simulation. Suddenly, a man dressed like a military officer appears and begins speaking to them in a strict commanding tone. No one can touch him. When they remove their helmets, they discover he doesn't actually exist in the real world. He's simply an incredibly realistic in-game character. The team follows the officer into another room, where they receive their weapons. In reality, they're nothing more than plastic toys, but inside the simulation they function like real firearms. The officer orders them to test the weapons on several glass targets, leaving the players stunned by how realistic everything looks and feels. After a brief training session, the officer suddenly shoots two of them, causing both players to lose their protective armor. He explains that the first hit destroys their protective vest, leaving them vulnerable to real damage. If they're injured after losing their armor, they can use a medical injection to heal themselves, but each player only gets one syringe for the entire mission. The officer then reveals that a group of dangerous criminals has taken control of the building. Their objective is to eliminate every enemy and reach the ground floor alive. Anyone who successfully completes the mission will receive the prize money for real. After the officer disappears, Andrea naturally takes command because of his military background. He gives the team tactical advice on how to move quietly and stay hidden. As they search through the different rooms, an enemy suddenly appears in the hallway and opens fire. Most of the team takes cover, but Andrea reacts immediately, rushes forward, and takes the enemy down. A computerized announcement confirms that they've completed level 25, and all the points are awarded to Andrea, making everyone realize that the game's scoring system rewards whoever gets the kills. As they descend the staircase, they discover a deadly electric barrier that will kill anyone attempting to leave before clearing the current level. With no other choice, the team advances to level 24, where they find more advanced weapons. Andrea teaches everyone how to use the new equipment before they continue into a massive room to carry on with the mission. The team enters the large room, and a player named Marco takes down the first enemy that appears. The rest of the players become more confident and begin rushing forward, using whatever they can find for cover while taking out the criminals. Adam, however, empties his entire magazine without hitting a single target. Andrea quickly steps in to protect him and takes a bullet in his place, losing his protective vest. Meanwhile, a young woman named Taylor suffers a panic attack. It turns out that the invitation was originally sent to her friend, but she came instead. She can no longer handle the game because everything feels unbelievably real. Shelley tries to calm her down, reminding her that it's only a game, but when it's her turn to shoot an enemy, she simply can't pull the trigger. One of the criminals approaches the two women, so Carl steps in and kills him, but he gets shot as well and loses his protective armor. He tries to surrender, but the enemy shoots him again. The team returns to the safe area, where Andrea gives Carl his only medical injector, allowing him to recover instantly. Carl is completely shaken and removes his helmet, insisting that there's no way this could possibly be just a game. The rest of the team removes their helmets as well to catch their breath. Adam discovers a new set of weapons, while Carl insists he actually felt real electric shocks. He begins to wonder if this is some kind of extreme reality TV experiment. Zahid panics and desperately tries to remove his suit, but it's impossible. Marco believes they're simply being tested, while Zahid suggests it might be a secret military experiment. Marco starts agreeing with him and even suspects that Andrea is secretly working with whoever is behind the project. Their argument grows more intense, and Andrea heads to the restroom to cool off. What the players don't realize is that the game is still running, and all of the enemies they killed have respawned. One of them corners Andrea in the restroom. He barely manages to close his helmet before being attacked. He reaches for a medical injector, only to remember that he already gave it to Carl. Meanwhile, the others hear gunfire, quickly put their helmets back on, and Edward is immediately shot. The team scrambles for cover. Taylor tries to reach the staircase, but the path remains blocked because the level hasn't been cleared yet. Suddenly, the criminals open fire, forcing the team to fight back with everything they've got. Edward injects himself with his medical syringe to survive, while Andrea drags his bleeding body through the hallway. Adam throws a grenade that wipes out the remaining enemies, completing the level and earning himself the highest score. As the gunfire finally stops, the team hears Andrea calling for help. He removes his helmet and suddenly hears a countdown timer before a powerful electric shock surges through his brain, sending his body into violent convulsions. By the time the others reach him, he's already dead. Shelley desperately attempts CPR, but it's too late. The computer announces that they're free to proceed to the next level, but no one wants to continue anymore. When they notice real blood on the floor, they realize the helmet actually killed Andrea. They desperately try to remove their own helmets, but none of them can. Zahid completely loses control. He grabs a fire extinguisher and begs someone to test whether the helmets can be broken. Carl volunteers and repeatedly strikes Zahid's helmet, but it doesn't even budge. At that moment, the sergeant appears and orders everyone back into the game. He walks straight through Carl as if he isn't there, then viciously kicks Zahid several times for breaking the rules. He warns them that anyone refusing to play will be punished. With no other option, the team continues through several more levels. Although nothing catastrophic happens for a while, each stage introduces new weapons and entirely different gameplay rules. In one gas-filled room, firearms are prohibited, forcing everyone to fight with knives in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The thought of fighting face-to-face terrifies Taylor even more, but Shelley promises she'll get both of them out alive. As they continue descending through the building, most of the team loses their protective armor. During a brutal knife fight, both Carl and Adam are seriously wounded, so Shelley and Marco use their medical injectors to save them. After several hours, the group is given a short break. They discover that it's already evening in the real world. Frustrated and exhausted, they begin smashing windows in an attempt to escape. Zahid finally manages to shatter one of the windows, but the sergeant instantly appears and beats him even more brutally than before. Zahid tries to flee toward the staircase, but the sergeant throws him down the stairs. The fall shatters Zahid's leg. Before leaving, the sergeant warns everyone that the next person who attempts to escape will die. The team rushes to help Zahid and quickly realizes that this injury is real, not part of the simulation. Since the wound exists in the real world, the medical injectors can't heal him. The computer reminds everyone to keep moving. Zahid begs them to leave him behind and continue without him. They hide him behind a pile of furniture, and only a few minutes later he bleeds to death. In the next level, Marco argues with the rest of the team over the newly issued weapons. The distraction allows one of the enemies to sneak behind him and shoot him in the back. The team returns fire while Taylor runs into a restroom to hide. After an intense firefight, a grenade finally ends the battle. Shelley uses her last medical injector to save Marco. Soon afterward, the team realizes Taylor is missing and begins searching for her. Inside the restroom, one of the criminals starts checking each stall one by one. Shelley hears him approaching and quietly shuts the door before carefully peeking outside to see where he is. Just before he's able to find her, the level ends. Edward earns the highest score, moving into first place on the leaderboard. During the next break, The players begin talking about their personal lives and discover that none of them has any close family. They realize that's exactly why they were chosen. No one would come looking for them if they disappeared, allowing the company behind the game to kill them without attracting attention. The team then advances to the next level, where they find the sergeant beating a hostage. He explains that a bomb has been planted in the basement, and will destroy the entire building, killing everyone inside unless they stop it in time. The only way to obtain the code needed to disarm the bomb is by forcing the hostage to reveal it. Since the young man is connected to an electrical device, Edward doesn't hesitate to torture him with powerful electric shocks, showing absolutely no mercy. After desperately begging for his life to no avail, the hostage finally gives them a code word. Adam enters it into the computer, but instead of stopping the threat, it activates the bomb. They now have only 30 minutes to disarm it before the entire building explodes. The sergeant walks away while the hostage laughs at them. Furious, Edward tries to punch him, but the helmet causes him intense pain, so he removes it and strikes the hostage for real. When Taylor steps in to stop him, she gets hit as well. At that moment, they hear the sergeant announce that he's holding the elevator door open. The team rushes toward it and barely makes it inside before it starts descending. Suddenly, the elevator comes to a stop, but the doors only open halfway. Marco forces the doors apart just enough for everyone to squeeze through. As Adam tries to leave, Marco stops him as punishment, trapping the two of them inside. The elevator continues down to the 3rd floor. Once they finally get out, the doors shut behind them, and they notice a crashed airplane outside one of the windows before moving deeper into the level. Marco forces Adam to lead the way. Adam manages to kill one criminal, but quickly runs out of ammunition. Even then, Marco shoves him forward and uses him as a human shield, giving himself enough time to escape and hide. Adam is riddled with bullets and dies only moments later. With just 15 minutes left before the bomb explodes, Marco breaks down emotionally but keeps moving after the computer announces that the level has been completed. Meanwhile, the rest of the team finds another cache of weapons on the 4th floor and begins searching the area. Suddenly, one of the criminals throws a smoke grenade. Carl suffers a severe panic attack and is forced to retreat. Shelley rushes over to comfort him, and he confesses that he lost his girlfriend in the fire that left a massive burn scar on his body. The smoke brings back those painful memories, and Shelley calms him down with a few reassuring words. The team continues fighting through the remaining levels until they reach the 1st floor, where they're almost completely out of ammunition. While the others battle the criminals, Taylor searches the area and discovers several medical injectors. Marco suddenly appears behind her and demands one of the injectors, but she refuses. Without hesitation, he shoots and kills her. When Carl goes looking for Taylor, Marco pretends to be under attack to distract him. A few moments later, Carl discovers Taylor's body and realizes she used her own blood to write Marco's name before she died. Consumed by rage, Carl removes his helmet and attacks Marco in the real world. He lands several kicks and tries to strangle him, but Marco slams him into a wall and beats him nearly unconscious. Carl manages to fight back by smashing Marco with a fire extinguisher, but Marco kicks him away. Just as Marco is about to shoot him, the sergeant suddenly appears, attacks Marco, grabs him by the throat, and chokes him to death. The 3 remaining players continue toward the basement with only 7 minutes left. When they arrive, the computer announces that they've reached the final level. They collect a new set of weapons and begin clearing the floor, eliminating every criminal they encounter. Every chance they get, they push closer to the bomb, but more enemies keep pouring in. Carl throws a grenade that wipes out the remaining enemies, allowing the team to advance much faster. Suddenly, however, a criminal appears inside a vehicle and guns Carl down almost instantly. Shelley and Edward dive for cover. As Carl searches for his medical injector, Shelley hears that only 2 minutes remain. She sprints toward the bomb but is shot along the way. Despite his own fatal wounds, Carl crawls over to her, gives her his medical injector instead of using it on himself, and tells her to win before dying beside her. Edward then uses a rocket launcher to eliminate the final enemy before sprinting toward the bomb. With only a single second remaining, he successfully disarms it. Moments later, the sergeant appears to congratulate them on their victory. Then Edward begins repeating the sergeant's exact words, revealing that he has been the mastermind behind the company from the very beginning and that everything was part of an elaborate staged experiment. The simulation comes to an end. Several men dressed in black enter the building to sedate Shelley before cleaning up the facility, disposing of every body, erasing all player data from the game's servers, and shutting the entire system down. The following morning, Shelley wakes up wearing her normal clothes. She finds Edward dressed in a business suit, overseeing the cleanup crew as they restore everything to normal. He hands her a bag containing the prize money. When she threatens to go to the police, he calmly tells her that no one will ever believe her story. Edward attempts to intimidate her once again, but Shelley fights back. She steals his handgun and shoots out every light in the parking garage, plunging the area into darkness. Edward sends his men after her, but thanks to everything she learned during the game, Shelley takes them all down with ease. When she finally confronts Edward, he begs for his life, but she shows him no mercy and kills him. She then walks away from the building without taking the prize money. And that's how the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget that your opinion matters, so leave your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to the channel.